Okay, so here's what we're going to get into today. We'll be talking about annual statistics, get into a little bit of numbers on user accounts and circulation. Also talk about hold requests and resource sharing, and take a look at numbers for student access. Then we'll get into the project activities and library migrations from this past year and what we're expecting in the year ahead. Then we'll talk about the staff survey and the responses there. Look at support activity for the year, projects for the year ahead, and then we'll get into a couple of different announcements. So here is the Cardinal team. Haven't had any changes recently, which we are thankful for. Courtney Brown is our systems librarian. Llewellyn Marshall is our application administrator developer. Samantha O'Connor is our training specialist. Will Szwagiel is our project manager, and I am the program manager. I'm Benjamin Murphy. So this past year, our two migrating libraries were Brunswick and Robeson counties. NC Cardinal is now in 66 counties, 6 municipalities, and 7 special libraries for a total of 234 branches. Let's have a look at some of the numbers for the year. For patron accounts this year, we saw a 1% decrease in adult accounts, a 4% increase in juvenile accounts, and a 6% decline in student access accounts. So these numbers are taken from the Public Library Survey figures, so they include any accounts that have expired within the last 3 years. So this practice of including accounts that were active within the last 3 years buffers any year-to-year changes. So in fact, if you compare the number of active student access accounts we had last school year to the number that were active this year, there was actually an 11% decline year to year in active student access accounts. So we'll get into that here in just a bit. So last year, after crossing 11 million circulations for the first time, our total circulation count dropped by 1% this past year. In the last year, we had 1.46 million hold requests, which was on par with the year before. 1.27 million of them were delivered to the hold shelf. 6% of those, or about 86,000 holds, were never picked up or expired on the hold shelf. 10%, or about 143,000, were canceled by patrons or staff. In total, 81% of hold requests resulted in a patron checking out the book. Hold activity decreased slightly this year by 2%. 45% of hold requests were filled by resource sharing, and 55% of holds were filled by the patron's local library system. With 11.1 million items checked out and 1.2 million holds fulfilled, this means that more than 10% of the materials checked out were obtained by placing a hold. That also means that almost 90% of traffic was from patrons visiting the library and finding something they wanted to check out. Here's a look at this year's counts for ingoing and outgoing resource sharing transactions. The materials a system receives are in green, and the materials a system sends are in blue. This year, we had a total of 384,540 student access accounts active, which was a decline of 11% from the year before. The percentage of unique users that use their accounts increased slightly despite overall declines in the number of unique users. So this year we had a 3.4% of the student access accounts actually check something out and 7.3% authenticated. So those are both about a 1% increase from the year before. Here's a look at student access activity for the last 5 years. This year, we had 33 library systems participating in 47 counties. We saw a marked decline in circulations and authentications for electronic resources this past year. After growth in fiscal years 21 and 22, fiscal year 23 was relatively stable. And then this past year, we saw a 22% decline in authentications and a 14% decline in circulations. Some recent legislation in the state has already had an impact on member libraries' participation in student access. Some library systems have inactivated or deleted their accounts for the remainder of the summer and are not expected to participate in the upcoming school year. We're working with other library systems to try to implement ways to share students' age information with vendors so that they can be used for content restrictions if desired. Now we'll turn our attention towards some of the projects and activities that Cardinal undertook this past year. For this year, we continued to refine our processes to make batch changes to bibliographic records to clean up known cataloging issues. This process begins by searching the database for bibliographic records that have specific errors or are missing content. We then export those records, clean them up using MarcEdit, and re-ingest them to overlay the existing records in the catalog. Over the course of this past year, this process was used to make 4.7 million updates to our MARC records. This chart shows the number of bib records we edited each month using this process. The changes made include cleaning up and normalizing ISBN numbers, which allowed us to do further work at deduplicating records by looking for multiple bibliographic records with the same ISBN numbers. We also went through and cleaned up all the RDA indicators in the 3XX fields. We identified and fixed bibs without format icons, added missing GMDs, and all sorts of other cataloger identified changes. This process has been a big step forward in identifying and correcting lingering issues in our catalog.
During the last upgrade cycle, we rolled out phase 2 of the password project. To review, this patch added stricter requirements for staff passwords, forced password updates for staff, and password reminders on the splash screen. In February of 2025, we rolled out a new patch that allows pending patrons to set their billing address and StatCats through the self-registration page. Any OPAC visible StatCats can be assigned through this interface. If the StatCat is free text, the user will see a text area. If the StatCat has predefined entries, those will appear in a drop-down menu that the user can select from. In July of 2025, we rolled out a patch that allows staff members to add notes, alerts, and blocks to user buckets. So now it will be much easier to perform batch operations on large groups of patrons. Evergreen is an open source software project. That means that people all over the globe can contribute their work to the project. This year, I was on the release team for version 3.15 of Evergreen. I participated in meetings with other team members and helped test and sign off on 11 bug fixes and new features. Right now, I'm working on preparing this version of Evergreen to go live for NC Cardinal this fall. A couple major features coming this fall are the new dark mode for the staff client and the angularization of the record buckets page. There have also been smaller quality of life fixes for the reporter and the enhanced MARC editor.
Now we will speak briefly about resource sharing. Utilizing a draft document that was drawn up the previous year with the assistance of the then active User Experience Committee, the resource sharing section of the Knowledge Book was completely overhauled in an effort to make navigation easier and to clarify existing policies and procedures. These updates included, but were not limited to, those you see on this slide: a general policy overview for easier consumption, more detailed explanations of how billing is handled, for example, clarifying the difference between overdue fees and lost or damaged fees, step-by-step instructions for addressing damaged materials and how to assess them, listing resource sharing pauses and go-live dates for libraries for ease of reference, and ongoing updates to instructions for using the FedEx website and shipping services as they continue to change and be updated. The pictured resource sharing item note is not new in and of itself, but it is something that we wanted to make sure we drew particular attention to as a means of keeping the lines of communication between member libraries open. In our continuing efforts to deduplicate the catalog, catalogers were recruited to review a series of matching bibliographic records to determine whether or not these records should be merged. These matches included what are referred to as orphaned bibs, or a bibliographic record that has only one item attached to it. The process was developed to match these orphaned bibs to other bibliographic records in the catalog that shared the same ISBN. These matches were then collected into spreadsheets that were sent out to catalogers at each member library. The catalogers were instructed to review the matches, and if any of the matches should not be merged, they were to delete that row from the spreadsheet. Spreadsheets of approximately 500 matches each were sent out at a time. As catalogers completed their reviews of the spreadsheets, we would then run an automated merging process to merge the matching records that remained on the spreadsheets. Once the records on one spreadsheet were merged, a new spreadsheet was created for the library and sent to its catalogers. 46 of these spreadsheets have been reviewed thus far, with 9 libraries in particular having completed the review of all of their respective spreadsheets, this resulting in over 100,000 merges. We plan to continue developing future projects like this that will eventually involve more complicated matching criteria rather than just the ISBN. This year's annual automated deduplication process was a bit different from previous years. Previously, the automated deduplication did not include videos among the formats that it reviewed for merging. Video records tend to be more complex than book or audiobook records, and much of the criteria used for matching book records would not easily translate or otherwise be entirely irrelevant to video records. So out of an abundance of caution, video records were excluded from our normal dedupes to prevent the possibility of too many false positives. However, after the success of last year's dedupe, we decided to move forward with an automated deduplication process specifically for video. This was a separate deduplication process because the criteria for videos are substantially different. With the assistance of the then active cataloging committee, a list of potential criteria for matching video records was put together and shared with Mobius. Mobius coded the process and performed a test run that resulted in example auto and needs humans lists for review. These sample results were reviewed and additional tweaks were made to the criteria. Eventually, the criteria were finalized and the actual deduplication process was run. Only video records were deduplicated this year because of the significant differences in criteria. This deduplication process resulted in 10,776 merges, with 23,357 matches being sent to the needs humans lists. These needs humans lists are what we will discuss next. The results of the automated deduplication process in an Excel spreadsheet with different sheets based on format labeled auto and needs humans. The auto sheets include the records that were merged by the process. The needs humans sheets include those records that were matched by the process but were otherwise considered just different enough that the process did not merge them into a single record. They have been put aside for human review. Last year, we created record buckets for each member library that had titles on the needs humans lists. However, this year we used a similar process to the orphaned bib review. Instead of record buckets, we created spreadsheets like those created for the orphaned bib review, and because there were so few needs humans matches to be reviewed this year, we sent those spreadsheets to 5 volunteers from the cataloging interest group to review. Once the spreadsheets were reviewed, any matches that were not deleted by the catalogers were then merged using the same automated process that was used for the orphaned bib review. The newly organized cataloging interest group, which I just mentioned briefly, meets monthly to discuss Cardinal cataloging policies, procedures, and other related topics. All are welcome to attend. The interest group has voted on guidance for several different new policies and procedures, and some of these new policies and procedures that have been developed and implemented with the assistance of the cataloging interest group include, but are not limited to, how to handle multiple and different 082 mark fields in a single record, specific detailed guidance on how to enter information into different mark fields, new policies related to merging rental videos with standard videos, and new specific guidelines and instructions for cataloging audio-enabled books such as Wonder Books and Vox books. And you can see an example of the MARC template that was created for those items with the assistance of the cataloging interest group.
Last year, we hosted 4 in-person training events in different regions of the state. We had planned for 6, but weather and scheduling issues forced us to cancel 2. The sessions we were able to host were held in Farmville, where we had 28 attendees, Stanley, where we had 32 attendees, Caldwell, where we had 24 attendees, and Harnett, where we had 32 attendees. We had a total of 116 attendees across the 4 regions. Sessions at these events included training and reports, patron account management, billing and payments, bibliographic cataloging, and holds management. We also began hosting tours of the host libraries with a special focus on tech service departments and resource sharing spaces. In addition to our in-person training, last fiscal year we also hosted a total of 17 webinars and online workshops on a variety of topics. These topics range from reports to resource sharing and included reviews and standards such as the acquisitions, end-of-year closeout, and upgrade webinars, as well as completely new trainings in areas like buckets, baskets, lists, and carousels, and inventory and shelf reading. Overall, we had 416 individuals attend these webinars over the course of the year. We also conducted a project in the knowledge book usability. Last year, we met with staff users. We had a total of 15 volunteers who performed a variety of tests, including task tests, paraphrase tests, and card sorting. Based on this feedback, we found that the main areas for improvement in our knowledge books are in the clarity of instructions, the navigation of the content, and jargon or text that was too dense. Additionally, 100% of volunteers noted the poor search functionality. Unfortunately, after significant attempts to improve the search functionality, we found that it's really not feasible for us to do that at this time, but we'll continue to explore options for that. Instead, we've worked to develop formatting guidelines that we hope will improve the clarity of the content and a new plan for organizing the content into books and chapters that we hope will improve navigation until we're able to improve that search function. At this time, we've created a prototype book about patron account management that showcases the new format and layout. We'd love further feedback on this book that we can then use to continue to improve our guidelines before rolling them out to the rest of the knowledge books. You can find this prototype book in the knowledge books under patron account management. In the book itself, you'll find a page titled About This Book. On that page, there's a link to a feedback form. After perusing the book, please take some time to share your thoughts with us. We'll also share about this on Basecamp to try to get as much feedback as possible.
During the 2023 in-person annual meeting, we found the use of Basecamp to be a recurring topic. Although library staff appreciate the communication platform, library staff voiced their concerns on several issues relating to the use of Basecamp. To address these concerns, the User Experience Committee and the Cardinal team established Basecamp best practices. To go along with our Basecamp best practices, I've created a Basecamp knowledge book. The book consists of chapters on specific topics that provide library staff with links to short training videos and step-by-step instructions regarding the use of common features and filtering options. Feel free to request additional chapter topics regarding the use of Basecamp that you may find helpful. And now we'll turn our attention toward our new Cardinal libraries. During the 2024-2025 migration season, we welcomed 2 new library systems to Cardinal, Robeson County Public Library and Brunswick County Public Library. The consortium now consists of 66 counties, 6 municipalities, 7 special libraries with a total of 234 branches. The 2025-2026 migration season has already been busy. At the beginning of July, the Amy Regional Library System renamed to the Toe River Valley Regional Library, and Yancey County Public Library was extracted as an independent library system in Evergreen. Yancey County Public Library System consists of 1 branch location, Yancey, Maine. There will be 6 new library systems joining Cardinal in the year ahead. The High Point Public Library, Pender County Public Library, the East Albemarle Regional Library System will be disbanding and joining as independent counties of the Pasquotank County Library, Camden County Library, Currituck County Library, and Dare County Library. By July 2026, new NC Cardinal libraries will consist of 71 counties, 7 municipalities, and 7 special libraries with a total of 246 branches. The High Point Public Library, located in High Point, North Carolina, is set to go live Thursday, September 4th, 2025. Pender County Public Library consists of 3 locations. Their main location and annex is in Burgard, North Carolina, and another location in Hampstead, North Carolina. Pender County is set to go live March 12, 2026. The 4 counties that previously comprised of East Albemarle Regional Library will join NC Cardinal as independent county libraries on July 1, 2026. Camden County Public Library has 1 branch in Camden, North Carolina. Dare County Library has 3 branches in Kill Devil Hills, Manteo, and Hatteras. Pasquotank County Library has 1 branch in Elizabeth City. Currituck County has 3 branches in Bartow, Maycock, and Corolla, North Carolina. And now we'll move to our support activity. This year, support traffic was up 9%. We had a 59% increase when the pandemic hit and have remained fairly steady since then. This year, we have an average of almost 18 tickets per workday.
Now we'll take a look at the results of our annual staff survey. The survey was conducted in May 2025, and it focused more on interactions between library staff and the Cardinal team than on functionality. In past years, the focus has been on comfort with functions, but this year we forewent those questions for a series of questions on how staff have interacted with us and what would improve those experiences. As always, this survey will help us to understand support and training needs, bring to light bugs or wish list items that may not have been on our radar, and prioritize projects in the coming year. This year saw a decrease in the response rate with only 283 respondents. However, those respondents do reflect 94% of libraries in NC Cardinal and came from every job type and role, providing a highly representative sample. Our largest response rates came from our largest library systems, but almost every system provided at least 1 response, so the feedback we received is reflective of a wide array of needs. Furthermore, our largest cohort of respondents was administration at 33%, followed by circulation staff at almost 26%, and catalogers at 17%. This year we offered in-person training at 4 different regional locations throughout the state. We asked for your response or for your feedback on those trainings in our survey, and the majority of you who were unable to attend those sessions noted that you'd be more able to attend them if they were closer geographically. We are aware of the geographical and travel limitations that our libraries experience, and so we will continue to try to ensure that our in-person training is hosted in geographically disparate locations throughout the state in the hopes that eventually there'll be something close enough to every single staff member that people will be able to attend. After that, the next most commonly cited reason for not attending was simply the inability to attend. And a lot of that came from staffing needs. Libraries simply do not have the staff to provide coverage to allow people to attend all-day trainings. To that end, we will continue to offer self-paced and virtual sessions to help make up some of that need. And then the third most common reason that people were unable to attend is that they simply were not aware that these trainings were happening. So we will continue to improve our communication on this front. We also asked about the new service that we offered last year of providing drop-in training hours each month. Once again, the number of respondents who had attended one of these sessions was low, at only about 18 of the total survey respondents. So we were most curious about what we needed to do differently to reach more of you. The number one response here was that the dates and times simply didn't work. In the free text responses for these questions, a number of you mentioned that you're either at lunch at noon or covering a public service desk for someone who is. To that end, we've changed the time for these drop-ins to 2 p.m. in the hopes of being more accessible to staff. We will continue hosting them on the 3rd Thursday of the month. Additionally, a number of you noted that they simply were not aware that these sessions were being offered, so we will try to communicate them more widely to ensure more staff know about them. We will continue to post information about them on the splash page, but we'll also engage in some direct email information. For our virtual trainings, we did have more respondents answer that they had attended a virtual training over the past year than one of the drop-ins or in-person trainings, with about 28% of you saying that you had attended at least one session. Of these, the most widely attended sessions were the upgrade webinar, the resource sharing webinar, and the webinar on buckets, baskets, lists, and carousels. Looking back at attendance from last year, we did have higher attendance for cataloging and report sessions than is reflected here. For those who did not attend, the number one issue was again scheduling, so we will continue to set these sessions at different days of the week and different times in order to catch as many people as possible. Respondents indicated a strong preference for Thursdays and Fridays, but in general, the only day that's really a no-go is Monday, so we will continue to work throughout the week at scheduling these. We did have several respondents indicate that they weren't aware of the sessions, so we will also work on spreading the word more effectively for these sessions. One thing I'm doing differently this year is sending out an all-staff email once a month with information about next month's training opportunities. So keep an eye out for that and share it with your staff or colleagues who may not check their email as often. The number one topic request for training next year was reports, with 50 respondents mentioning a need for this training content. Digging a bit deeper into those requests, there were 9 requests specifically for more advanced reports training. So this year I will host a series of reports training starting from basics and moving up to more advanced topics. The basic training will be hosted on September 25th. Registration for this session is open, and you can find the form in the knowledge books in the upcoming training opportunities page. After reports, the next most requested topic was cataloging, with a large number of respondents requesting highly specific topics within cataloging. We started this year's cataloging series with a look at authority records and subject headings, with Jessica Efron of the Government and Heritage Library instructing. I hope to continue offering specialized catalog training this year, with topic experts from around the consortium offering their expertise. If you're interested in providing training, please reach out to me. We did have a large number of requests for training in topics outside the purview of NC Cardinal and Evergreen, and I've passed those on to Lauren Clossy, the State Library's continuing education consultant, who will look into opportunities to provide training in these topic areas. Beyond that, the biggest trend I saw in topic requests were requests for some form of basic introductory training for new staff. Whether this was a request for a general intro to Evergreen or more specific topics, I've created an Evergreen Basics series. Throughout the year, I will offer training aimed at new staff, looking at introductory topics in all areas of the software. I've already hosted the first 2 sessions in this series on circulation functions and searching the catalog. After these sessions, recordings will be added to an Evergreen Basics playlist in the NC Cardinal YouTube channel. Additionally, I have created a new set of self-paced learning modules in Niche Academy, which have been added to a new category called Training for New Library Staff. To follow up on the usability tests we conducted in the spring, we asked respondents in the survey to give us feedback on the knowledge books. 141 respondents, or more than half, indicated that they used the books more than once a month and gave an average usefulness rating of 4.1. However, they also indicated a lower ease of use rating at 3.5. When asked what makes the knowledge books difficult to use, most respondents indicated the poor search function was to blame. This reflects what we found with the UX tests as well. And as I said, we've looked into options to improve this, but have not been able to find or develop a solution yet, so we'll continue to explore. In the meantime, we will turn our focus to addressing the other ease of use issues we found. Namely, the layout is confusing and the content is sometimes missing or too text heavy and dense. Over the course of this fiscal year, we will work to address these concerns. We will discuss that project in more detail later in this presentation. In addition for asking for your help identifying issues in the knowledge books, we also asked for suggested solutions. Your number one response was to update the books more frequently. Next, you recommended that we simplify the language, add more images, and clarify step-by-step instructions. You also recommend adding an FAQ section and adding summaries and keywords to pages, as well as more descriptive titles. We will be taking all these suggestions into account as we work on further updates to the books. After the section on training in the knowledge books, we also asked respondents to rate their satisfaction levels with Cardinal communication. We were very pleased to see that the vast majority of respondents are satisfied or very satisfied with every aspect of communication from the Cardinal team, including in areas related to system performance, support activities, project status, and progress, activities from committees, and the cataloging interest group. We'll keep doing what we're doing and encourage you to reach out if you have any feedback about how we can continue to improve in this area. We also asked you to rate your satisfaction with the most recent upgrade. Overall, library staff seem satisfied with communication, training, responsiveness to bugs, and new features in cataloging and acquisitions. The only area that saw significant dissatisfaction is in the new reports interface. This didn't come as a shock, given the complexity of the interface and the scope of the changes. There were a significant number of bugs up front, but we believe these have been addressed at this point, with a few lingering bugs set to be fixed in our next upgrade. This year, we will be offering more reports training overall and hope to help those of you still struggling with this interface get a bit more comfortable. Now let's turn our attention towards the projects the team will tackle in the upcoming year. For training opportunities, this year we're planning to increase our virtual training opportunities. Rather than trying to provide comprehensive overviews of entire workflows in Evergreen, we will continue to provide targeted training on specific functions, from Evergreen basics to advanced reporting. To help staff access the training best for them, these sessions are being categorized into series. As they are listed in the knowledge book, the series will be identified as well as an audience recommendation. Additionally, throughout the year, we will look for standalone sessions and niche topics that were requested in the survey or are requested throughout the year. I'll also be continuing to offer hands-on workshops for acquisition staff to prep for the fiscal year end and the walk through the end of the year closeout. And I'll be offering a variety of sessions related to the planned upgrade. You can find out what sessions are coming up in the training landing page in the About NC Cardinal Knowledge book. This is chapter 3.5 in that book. We know we won't cover all your needs this year, so please continue to let us know what you need help with, and we will either try to fit it in this year or put it on the list for next year. All of the sessions are recorded and uploaded to the NC Cardinal YouTube channel. In the coming year, we will also continue to offer our drop-in Q&A meetings. These are informal training opportunities in which the Cardinal team is present to provide answers to questions or demonstrations of functions that cause confusion. Each month, we do have a topical focus, but conversation can lead us to discuss anything attendees ask about. So far, we've already hosted 2 of these. We discussed resource sharing in July and reports in August. These sessions will typically be hosted on the third Thursday of each month at around 2 p.m. A link to the WebEx session is now embedded in the Evergreen splash page and typically goes live about 10 minutes before that 2 p.m. start time for the drop-in sessions. You can see a list of upcoming dates and topics on the splash page, as well as in the knowledge book on the training opportunities page.
Over the last year, we've seen a dramatic rise in instances of bots accessing the site. One of the consequences of this is that the bots are submitting fake patrons through the patron self-registration page. This has led to many systems disabling the self-registration feature entirely. We're implementing Google's reCAPTCHA v2 software into the patron self-registration page so that bots will not be able to submit the form. Google profiles users in order to determine whether they're real humans or not. If they fail the check, they're made to complete a puzzle that would stump your average bot. Coding and testing has been completed, and we're in the process of rolling this out to production. We've been working on expanding a little-used feature in Evergreen called Managed Grid Filters. This feature was previously only used in the link checker interface. It allows you to save and load sets of commonly used filters so that you use on Angular grids. This can be very helpful if you're returning to a page frequently and need to quickly restore a set of commonly used filters. We began this project as a way to improve the functionality of the Action Triggers page, as these pages are frequently used by NC Cardinal staff. In this example, we've created a filter set that will allow us to view overdue notices for Stanley. On the Action Trigger page, a filter set called Last Used is recorded every time the user leaves the page. If the user clicks the Back to Notification/Action Triggers button, it will load the Action Trigger grid with the Last Used filter set and on the last set of data they were viewing. We've completed coding and testing for this project and hope to have it on production soon. We have a lot of tickets that require us to make batch changes to lots of copies at once. We can use item buckets to accomplish this, but oftentimes there are too many items to efficiently create a bucket. We're working on a patch that allows users to create buckets containing thousands of items by uploading a file containing a list of barcodes. This new method for creating buckets cuts all of the fat out of the process. It doesn't waste time fleshing out additional information like author, title, and copy location, and it simply focuses on creating an item bucket first. We were able to create a bucket with 20,000 items in only 1 minute.
We also have a number of other upcoming projects we would like to discuss. We will be coordinating with Mobius to update Evergreen's cataloging reports in a few different ways. Because each of these tasks will require significant development on Mobius's part, we have elected to combine them into a single project to help ease the burden on Mobius. Many of you who have been working with cataloging reports are likely aware that the ignore button does not currently function as intended without some significant workarounds. Mobius will be working to resolve this issue, and we intend to add additional reports to the interface, including orphaned bibs and short bibs. We would also like to one day perhaps add the needs humans records to these reports for ease of review, but that may be outside the scope of this particular project at this time. Two projects that are currently underway involve suppressing the pop-ups that occur when checking in multiple lost items at once, such as in an item bucket, and improving the visibility of shelving locations and other search filters in the staff catalog. Once the first of these projects has been completed, you will be able to check in multiple lost items at once without having to worry about clicking through every pop-up that appears for each item as it is checked in. For the second project, shelving locations and other search filters with especially long names will no longer be cut off by their respective boxes in the staff catalog. Finally, we will be looking into cleaning up old bibliographic records with only lost items attached rather. We will coordinate with member libraries to determine first if they would like to delete these lost items or not, and if so, whether they would like to retain the lost finds on patrons' accounts or to remove them. Once the items have been resolved, they can be deleted from the catalog, which will in turn delete their respective bibliographic record as well, helping to clean up our search results further. Earlier this year, we began the process of reviewing our patron account policy, typically referred to as a multi-card policy. Cardinal's existing policy was created more than a decade ago when Cardinal was a few scattered libraries across the state. Today, the majority of public libraries in North Carolina are part of NC Cardinal, and it's become much more common for patrons to have access to several NC Cardinal libraries in adjacent counties. Thus far, we've released a draft version and gathered feedback, and we're in the midst of making revisions based on the feedback to bring back to the Cardinal community. So that's our annual report for this year. Thank you for joining us. The Cardinal team really appreciates the opportunity to serve you and the people of North Carolina. And we're thankful to have the opportunity to work with you each year. So thank you for joining us.